Hey everyone, my name is Josh Rosenberg. I'm the second vice president for TW Local 556, and welcome to another episode of AirWaves, the news edition. Today is Friday, August 7th. We're going to be talking about there's just, recent events, stuff that's happened over the past week or so. I'm here with Sam Wilkins, our first vice president, and we'll just kind of go through it. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Hey Josh, good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. So today, just so everyone knows, we're going to be talking about the rebid, what happened, what we can expect in the future if something similar happens. There have been some issues with KCM and CMAP over the past week, so we'll talk a little bit about that and the information we've received on it. We'll talk a little bit about the new 35-minute report time that we've got going for most of our aircraft. Also, SWAPA had a side letter that they rejected. We'll talk a little bit about that. And finally, we'll round up with the news of the MAX 7 that got certified this week. So, Sam, let's start with the rebid. So, what happened? What was the deal?
Yeah, so we had a rebid for the August 2026 bid period.
Mhm.
That happened on July the 2nd. And we had a debrief last week with crew planning and their technology partners that support crew planning. And essentially, what we thought it was, what we had concluded, which was that the red eyes that depart after midnight local time affected how the pairings were populating in EBS and in crewbid.
Mhm.
So we talked about that. We also got a full briefing on the other, that was like the 90% of the issue. The other 10% of the issue was line values as well as pairing values that were just pulling in really weird pay values. And so that's where we got a full debrief from the technology partners. So apparently the bid packets were all correct.
Mhm.
However, when it went to be in-tracked into EBS and into crew bid, there were many glitches, mostly related again to the red eye pairings. So we, obviously when we were initially notified on July 2nd that they were going to completely shut down bids, we said that's unacceptable to shut down bids and to make people who had already submitted bids rebid. We did work through that. We filed a group grievance. We were able to make everybody that was impacted by that whole. We worked with crew planning. Most everyone chose the option to just have a blank line. But
Mhm.
for those people that were unable to rebid when SPIDs went back live on the 3rd, so we worked through that issue. And then we asked them to come to the meeting with a plan of what happens if they have another technology glitch. And so it's kind of multi-layered, but the most important thing is that their plan centers around not just having to shut down bids and reset everybody's bids, but to go offline for no more than 30 minutes. And so we've had issues in the past where we've had to extend bids by an hour or two, but we've never really had this issue where we completely shut down bids and restarted. That's been few and far between. So
Mhm.
that is the plan going forward. The expectation is that we don't put our members through having to bid again because we know a lot of you spend time deliberately going through your bids. And so this was not an ideal situation. But we are somewhat satisfied with their plan going forward that it would be essentially offline for no more than 30 minutes. We would work on what that looks like in extending bids, but at no time would the bid period of 72 hours be lessened or the protest period. As we gave that update in our last news airwave segment, is that that was the most important thing for us was to preserve those two time periods because
Mhm.
those are critical to our flight attendants and maintains the integrity of the contract language.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, cool. So moving on to KCM and CMAP. So we've heard from a few members, seeing a little bit out there that people have had issues getting through KCM, mostly that, the laptop's not working and it's shut down and they can't get through. So we've heard a little bit of information from Southwest, a little bit from A4A, and a little bit from the Department of Homeland Security. It's basically, to not get into too many details, a little bit of a hardware issue, a little bit of a software issue. This week, they're trying to deploy like a fix, a temporary fix that will hopefully lead to a long-term fix. So hopefully, it's just a temporary thing. Again, it's not something that Southwest administers, so it's something that we kind of just like we're getting all the information we can just to see if it's a more long-term thing or short-term thing. Seems like a short-term thing, but it does affect every crew member, right? Every pilot, every flight attendant. Sam, I know you reached out to Julie Hendricks, who's president for APFA, and then also Sarah Nelson, who's of course president for AFA, to just kind of see if they had any info. So we've just kind of been networking with our industry partners to see what's going on. But hopefully, like I said, it short-term fix happened, hopefully leading to a long-term fix that, we won't have to worry about this in the future. But with that said, I know everyone got a CWA message to please ensure that you're getting to the airport in time to go through normal security. So it's like we're back in the old days. Just make sure that you get there because there's a bunch of stations that are down right now, or that were down, and hopefully back up, and hopefully we'll stay back up, but gives yourself that buffer. Speaking of buffers, the new 35-minute report time. So a 5-minute, buffer, I guess we could call it. So 5 minutes. So how's that been going? What are we looking at? Have there been any issues?
So far, we haven't had any reported issues. We've been making sure that the information is out there, that all pairings on or after August the 1st for the MAX 8 and 800s, that you will need to report 35 minutes prior to your scheduled departure. We seem to have done this pretty smoothly. It is adding 5 minutes, but wanted to make sure and call out because we did have somebody who shared a airline blogger who said that actually boarding is going to start 5 minutes early, and that is actually not the case. Passengers are still going to board at the set boarding time. And operations agents, they all got a memo as well. That 5 minutes is really for the flight attendants to make sure that we do all of our safety and security checks. We got that language in our collective bargaining agreement in Article 8, and we wanted to preserve that time. So we lessened kind of the pressure on us to perform our duties in preparation for boarding. And again, please make sure that you're coordinating with your A flight attendant before making sure that boarding commences. But again, that 5 minutes is for you. Also, just keeping track of your van times. Again, show up when it says that you're supposed to show up, but also take into consideration while we kind of go through this transition. Some of the times just in the month of probably August are going to be a little wonky with the pilots. We are not expected to lobby any earlier. The company did express that when they notified us of this implementation of this language, that we were not going to have to get in earlier vans or separate vans from the pilots. So again, I think as it just works through our crew accommodations board who schedules the transportation, and with the company, it's just a little bit of a transition period. So thank you for all that you're doing out there to make sure you're showing up on time. And we will definitely keep track of any discipline trends if we see any late to gates happening. We have a commitment from the company that they will investigate each one on a case-by-case basis. But with all the clunkiness of KCM and CMAP transition, with the new 35-minute report, always make sure that you're also letting scheduling know, because sometimes they can let ops know if there's a delay, if something happened on your way to the airport, or if for some reason you're getting held up at security because KCM and CMAP is down. So we're kind of on the tail end of the summer travel. So hopefully here we'll get a little bit of a relief in a week or two when the kids go back to school. But for right now, just please make sure that you're given scheduling a heads up if you happen to be running behind at all, so we can prevent any unnecessary or unjust discipline.
Okay, cool. Last couple things. So we have a little bit of talk about SWAPA and then the MAX 7 certification. So SWAPA, they had a side letter that they chose to put out to their membership. So just for those that don't know, SWAPA, every side letter doesn't need to go out to a vote. Here at TW 556, every side letter does need to go out to a vote. But so SWAPA chose to send the side letter to the members, and they ultimately voted it down. So it was about adding 2 extra seats. So just briefly, can you give us a little info on that?
Yeah, so essentially the company wants to have a consistency when it comes to the MAX 8 and 800 fleet. They wanted the ability to add 2 additional seats. So instead of 175, 177, SWAPA's language protects them that in the event the company needs to add seats, that they would ultimately have to bargain over it. And so that's what they did. They came to an agreement, but again, their members rejected it. This is kind of part of the process. That's democracy. They rejected it. So they'll just go back and they'll start talking again, just like anytime something like that has happened at TW 556, we just get back to talking. So
Okay,
that's
cool.
the current update.
So that's on hold. So adding two seats to 800 and Max 8 are on hold, just for those listening to the rumor mill. And then speaking of airplanes, Max 7. So pretty exciting news. So finally got certified this week after a long, long process, right? We got an email from Andrew Watterson with like a little bit of a ops update. Kind of going over what Southwest is looking at when implementing this. Anything we should specifically keep our eye on?
So, just a quick little assessment of his communication. Basically, we probably won't see it added to our fleet for passenger service until it's looking at like quarter 2 of 2027.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different things that happen as it gets incorporated into our fleet, including selling tickets now that we have assigned seating on this type of aircraft. And so the MAX 7 is a passenger count of up to 150 passengers. So it will just remain 3 flight attendants. We do have actually the MAX 7 language in our contract. In the last round of bargaining, we knew that we had put orders in. So we went ahead and added that to our language. So that's kind of where we're at. There's not a need to go back to the table or adding anything to do with the MAX 7. We've just been eagerly awaiting it to come on property.
Yeah. So it looks like early 2027 is probably when we'll start flying on it, right?
Yeah, at the earliest. Yeah.
Right. One last topic before we wrap up here. So the membership meeting. So that's coming up this month in August. Sam, what's the date and time for that?
So that is Wednesday, August the 26th at 11 Central. It will be held virtually. It is just one day, and we hope you all can join us.
Sounds good. Okay. Well, everyone, that's the news for the past week or two. We'll be back in another couple weeks with the news that you can use. Thanks a bunch, Sam, for helping us out, and we'll see you later.
Have a great day.